Okay, let's wrap up information for quiz 8. All right, so after this video, you'll have all the information you need to take quiz 8 on campus. And let me just say very, very quickly that this isn't how it's always going to be. All right, I realize that um, doing the same thing over and over can make for a very dull experience. So guys, don't worry. I'm gonna try to mix it up here very soon, especially as we enter into the material on drug altered states. For now, one final video to close out quiz 8, okay? And that's altered state number 6. Number 6 is meditation. All right, meditation. And some of you guys might meditate already. I strongly encourage it, and especially once you learn that there's many different ways to meditate. It doesn't have to be situations like you see these pictures. Okay, this picture on the bottom, of course, with the index finger and thumb touching or sitting in some sort of yoga pose. It doesn't have to be that at all. All it has to really involve, as it says in the definition, is some level of focus, concentration, and reflection. And the goal is to reduce the activity of the sympathetic nervous system. Remember, we talked about that several weeks ago. That's the body's gas pedal. All right, we want to slow or prevent our body from pressing that gas pedal, producing in the hopes of producing greater sensory awareness, euphoric, almost drug-like, relaxed feelings. And it comes in a lot of variety. For example, Zen. Zen respiration, Zen meditation is like I just said, it's a form of rhythmic breathing. If some of you guys have smartwatches, a lot of times that watch can guide you through Zen meditation. It's just very controlled inhales, like inhale for 4 seconds, exhale for 5 seconds, or whatever is more comfortable for you. It's amazing how we don't do this on a daily basis. It's just take the time to rhythmically breathe. All right, we talk so much, we're moving around so much. Just 1 or 2 minutes can honestly change your physiology, and these smartwatches tell you that. All right, the next one combines Zen with contracting the muscles. I know I've taught one of the classes this already. It's called progressive relaxation. We use it a lot in sports psychology to help people relax before a big competition. You could even use it to relax before a big test. And that involves rhythmic breathing combined with tightening muscle groups like making two tight fists or shrugging your shoulders and tightening those up for just a few seconds and then releasing. All right, you do that from muscle group to muscle group. That's the actual goal, is to go from the toes all the way up to the head. You could definitely do some YouTube searches on progressive relaxation and find some great ones. Just play it for about 20 minutes in your bedroom, and you'll find you'll be in a more relaxed state, more meditative state than you've ever have been before. The third one I like to talk about because it's not the stereotypical type of meditation called Sufism. Maybe it's Sufism. It's a more spiritual, religious, often type meditation that involves dancing and movement and chanting and singing. Often, you think of maybe a Native American spiritual dance around a fire. That can be considered very meditative also. And then there's this one, transcendental. All right, TM as it's sometimes called. This is the type of meditation you often hear, the Tibetan monks. I can give you a link in the description below where you can listen. Not even do it yourself, but just listening to this type of meditation can be very reflective and um, um, mind changing, if you will. It's a lot of times characterized by the ohms, om, like that. That's an example of what's called mantra, and every person sort of has their own mantra, which with a little bit of practice has again turned out to be very enlightening and by definition very meditative. So meditative that many of these, especially transcendental, is taught to people in drug treatment centers. All right. In fact, these meditative states can get people in such a euphoric state that it can almost equate to a drug high. So how about that for a nice healthy alternative when a person is trying to teach their body that they don't need the drug, that there are healthier solutions. All right, and that's meditation. Finally, we want to talk a little bit about hypnosis. Hypnosis is a fascinating altered state. Some people swear by it. Some people are skeptical. You can be the judge after we talk about it a little bit. It wasn't always called hypnosis. It was initially called, uh, oh boy, initially called mesmerism. Okay, and mesmerism was because it was named after a guy named Franz Anton Mesmer. He was a physician who would use this method to basically trick his patients into thinking they were someone else as he did various operations on them. Okay, there wasn't, real nice fancy anesthesiologists back then to numb the pain. So Franz would talk to his patients and make them feel like they were somewhere else. And it worked. It became known as mesmerism. Well, when Mesmer passed away, the name sort of went with it, and it then left us with the name hypnos, or hypnosis, which comes from the word hypnos. All right, hypnos right there. He's actually the Greek god of sleep. Okay, so that's where we get the name hypnosis. When you look at someone who is hypnotized, it does look like, in fact, they are sleeping. So that's where we get hypnosis. But in fact, hypnosis is it's called the trance-like state in which a person is more apt to listen to suggestions. All right. So let's talk a little bit about what that might be used for. Okay, you can train yourself in hypnotherapy. It's used on phobias. People get hypnotized into not fearing spiders or fearing heights, whatever it might be. There's even hypnotists who are trained to help people quit smoking or stop their eating habits, their binge eating habits. My neighbor, for example, he actually has been hypnotized to stop smoking. The hypnotist made him believe that anytime he thought about or put a cigarette in his mouth, he got this horrible taste in his mouth, and it sort of drove away that urge. The thing is, hypnosis doesn't work just one time. You got to go back for multiple sessions in the hopes that the addiction will eventually go away. Several of you, seniors, juniors, you've got another year before this will take place, but you will all have the opportunity to watch a comedic hypnotist in action at your senior lock-in. It's very entertaining. You have the opportunity to go up on stage and be hypnotized and put on a show for everyone else, which, again, it is a process that takes place in the middle of the night. That's helpful to a hypnotist because you're already very sleepy. And again, it doesn't work on everybody, but I'm going to assume some of you it will work for, and you'll put on quite the show. So that brings me to what's next, is how is it actually done? It's called induction. I'll share a video of a group of people who are already well into an induction process, and you're just seeing the tail end of it, but it's pretty incredible how they go from being what looks conscious and alert to in this altered state, which it looks like they're sleeping, but technically they're not. Okay, what's required? Every hypnotist has his or her own style and delivery, but they follow some basic rules, like they get the participants in a relaxed position. Seated and lying down, I think, are the more common positions. Those are the more relaxed, but there is opportunities to hypnotize someone standing up. I've seen it done before. After a person's in a relaxed state, you have them focus their attention, focus on the hypnotist's voice. Some people actually are told to look at the palm of their hand. There's nothing special in the palm of the hand, but it is a focusing technique. Even a spotlight, if you're up on stage, looking at a dim spotlight might help. And then you are to focus on not only the hypnotist's voice, but also to picture something in your mind. So as you're staring at your hand, the idea would be to picture a staircase or a hallway of doors. And the hypnotist would then start to guide you up this staircase or through this hallway and give you suggestions such as go into that first door. And as you go into that first door, feel your body getting more and more relaxed, more and more sleepy. Now exit that door and head further down the hallway and go into the next room. And as you go into that next room, you'll find yourself getting more and more relaxed, more and more sleepy. And before you know it, people go into this altered state known as trance, known as hypnosis, where they are more likely to respond to suggestions. Pretty interesting, pretty fascinating. Again, watch the video. It will obviously have links to other hypnosis videos for you to go down a rabbit hole in. But that is it in a nutshell. Who then is more likely to get hypnotized? Because like I said, not everybody, it doesn't work on everybody. Some of the people it works on the best are first. You got to believe it's going to work. If you go into it with your arms crossed and this isn't going to work for me, then yeah, it's not going to work. But if you go into it with an open mind and yes, I'm going to listen to instructions, the chances are greater that it will happen. if you get carried away by a book or a movie, you know, if you can read a book and very vividly picture the characters and the setting of that. So imagine reading like Lord of the Rings, and as you're reading about the Shire, you can really illustrate in your mind what that Shire looks like. That would be a better increasing, excuse me, it would be a better chance for you to drift into hypnosis, because that's the whole idea, is you're supposed to imagine things in your mind. Third, speaking of, is people who have vivid imaginations, which actually is why kids are really good at being hypnotized, is their imaginations are so vivid. Or, this is interesting, if you had an imaginary friend as a child, or if you have one still. Um, you know, my experience with imaginary children is zero. I didn't have one, but if you did have one, that means you're able to conjure up a whole nother entity, a whole nother being, simply using your brain, and that makes you a better candidate for being hypnotized. This one takes a bit of a dark turn. It's people who come from very authoritarian parents. These are parents who are very verbally, or God forbid, physically abusive. And the whole logic here is, if you grew up in a household like that, your brain is engineered to become more obedient, because if you're not listening to your parents, there's abuse that quickly follows. So you are trained at young ages to obey, obey, obey. And a lot of times it's obey any type of authority figure. So when that authority figure is a hypnotist, right, because he is slightly, or she is in a slightly more authoritative position up there on stage, your brain goes into its autopilot mode and obeys and listens to that instructor or instructions um, more readily. All right. And like I said before, of all age groups, children are in fact pretty good candidates, even though their attention spans can be limited and very short. Their ability to imagine surpasses any other age group, which makes them good candidates. So give it a try. I encourage all of you to volunteer, seniors especially, during the senior lock-in. Fingers crossed you have it. Not right? Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. Let's hope, right, that you guys have that great opportunity. It's a fun night. Juniors, all right, you'll have that opportunity at the end of your senior year. And then lastly, you know, some of you might have been hypnotized when you were little at your pediatric dentist's office. There are dentists who are actually learning how to use hypnosis when they do minor mouth surgeries. Kids who don't want to take the gas or get knocked out, you know, with any sort of anesthetic. Hypnosis can be used to make a kid believe he's at Disney World or at Six Flags while the doctor is pulling a tooth or repairing a cavity, whatever it might be. Okay, I will share a video of the induction process. I will also have a video for transcendental meditation in the description below. Good job listening and taking notes on Quiz 8. You are now fully equipped to take Quiz 8 on campus. And the next time you'll hear from me, it will be from the drug unit. We'll have some great video to watch and respond to, and then we'll go from there. All right, so good job with the altered states of consciousness. After this is the drug altered states.